Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Heat, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Report: Jimmy Butler has two teams on his no-trade list. Jimmy Butler is seeking a trade from the Miami Heat, but he does have some limitations on where he might go. Sports Illustrated's Chris Mannix appeared as a guest on the Ryan Russillo podcast for an episode published on Wednesday. The two talked about the Butler situation, and that's when Mannix mentioned the teams Butler doesn't want to be traded to. The two teams he has basically been communicating that he didn't want to go to were the Memphis Grizzlies and the Sacramento Kings, Mannix said. Though Mannix said that Butler has noted he does not want to be traded to either team, the reporter says he would still watch out for the Grizzlies as a potential landing spot. The Butler Heat situation has become untenable. The six-time All-Star has only played in 25 games this season and is currently serving an indefinite suspension. It marks the third time he has been suspended by Miami this season. The trade deadline is February 6, and Butler's current suspension runs through the deadline. Butler, 35, is averaging 17.0 points, 5.2 rebounds, 4.8 assists, and 1.1 steals per game this season. He has been with the Heat for the 2019-2020 season and has led them to at least the conference finals 3 times. Butler is maintaining a sense of humor about things and joked on social media Wednesday about being unemployed. Miami Heat named favorites to acquire $163 million All-Star. Everything about the Miami Heat has revolved around Jimmy Butler in recent weeks, and it is not because of his performances on the court. Far from it. The 35-year-old has barely played recently, and when he has looked a shell of the player we know he can be. On the other hand, the Heat have now suspended Butler on 3 occasions this season while they continue to search for a trade for him ahead of the fast-approaching deadline. Butler's exit is inevitable. The Phoenix Suns and the Golden State Warriors have been linked with him lately. On the other hand, the Heat will need to replace Butler and move on to their next era. That won't be an easy task. The situation of an all-star guard might be one worth keeping an eye on though. According to Shams Charania, the Sacramento Kings are expected to open up talks to potentially deal all-star De'Aaron Fox ahead of February 6 trade deadline. There are many reports in the media which suggest that the San Antonio Spurs are the leading contenders in the race for Fox, but odds makers have placed the Heat as the favorites. There are many things that could work in the Heat's favor as well. First is the fact that they need an offensive focal point with Butler on his way out. Fox can be that guy, as he is one of the most dynamic scorers in the league right now and is averaging 25.2 points per game this season while making 46.8% from the field and 32.4% from 3. Second is Fox's friendship with Bam Adebayo. The two were teammates at the University of Kentucky. Of course, for any move to happen, the Heat will need to agree to a trade deal with the Kings, which won't be easy. It might very well end up depending on what kind of a return they are able to bring in for Butler. Fox is currently in the 4th season of a 5-year, $163 million contract. He is set to become a free agent in 2026. The Jimmy Butler situation continues to get worse after he was suspended for the 3rd time recently. It feels like the Miami Heat need to find a way to conclude this saga before the trade deadline. They cannot afford to let this drag on until the summer. It is far too big of a distraction. This is a sad ending to Butler's time with the Heat, a franchise he led to 2 NBA Finals in 5 seasons, exceeding all expectations and establishing himself as one of the best playoff performers in the league. The Heat have never been afraid to say goodbye to aging superstars though. At 35 years of age and with a long injury history, that might be the case with Butler. But then, that is also why it might be tough to find a suitable trade offer for Butler. There are very few teams in the league in the position to take on his contract in the first place. For a while, the Golden State Warriors had been linked with Butler, but more recently, those rumors had faded away as it looked like the organization had turned their attention elsewhere. but now, it looks like the Warriors are back in the mix to trade for Butler after having seen the team struggle for form in recent months. According to Tristy Rodriguez on NBC Sports Bay Area, ESPN's Shams Charania reported Tuesday morning, the Heat are engaged with multiple teams on Jimmy Butler, including, from what I'm told, the Phoenix Suns and Golden State Warriors. The Heat are operating in the landscape as a team that's motivated with interested suitors. As far as a price tag on Jimmy Butler goes, it's been described to me in league circles that the Heat are looking for shorter-term contracts, along with draft assets. They have not yet received an offer that they're moving forward with, but the trade deadline looms on February 6. It remains to be seen how the situation plays out over the next week or so. It is very clear that the Warriors need to bring in some help if Stephen Curry and Draymond Green are to make a run for their fifth ring with the franchise in the twilight of their careers. A proven playoff performer like Butler can provide them with just that. And in terms of a trade, the Warriors might be in a better position than the Suns to pull it off, with Phoenix's chances depending on Bradley Beal and his no-trade clause. Heat legend blames Pat Riley for letting Jimmy Butler spat to fester. With the Miami Heat's Jimmy Butler drama about to reach its ugly but necessary end with the trade of the six-time All-Star, the blame game for the fractured and unfixable relationship between Butler and franchise godfather Pat Riley has already started. Tim Hardaway, the Heat's former star point guard and Hall of Famer, is placing all of the fault on his ex-head coach. On the Draymond Green show with Baron Davis, Hardaway said Riley made the mistake of allowing Butler to flaunt the rigid Heat culture that has long been the cornerstone of Miami's selflessness and success under the longtime team president. You let him fly his own private jet to different places, and he didn't meet the team for shoot-around. You let that stuff get out of hand, Hardaway said of Riley. You let Jimmy Butler say this and that, you know this and that. You let it get out of hand. While Hardaway believes Butler deserves his money with a contract extension, he criticized the disgruntled forward for not always being available to play. Butler has only played 60 or more games twice in his previous 5 seasons with the Heat. Everybody deserves their money, said Hardaway, who earned 2 of his 5 All-Star nods during his 6-year tenure in Miami. But you can't play 50% of the games and then the play-in, tournament, game. And then we got to work just as hard to get to where we need to get to. I need to not be in the play-in game. The situation has moved past the temporary band-aid of multiple game suspensions. The Heat reportedly have lowered their asking price for Butler on the trade market and are committed to sending the 35-year-old to another team to deal with his expectations of a new multi-year deal. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Tim Hardaway? Leave your opinion in the comments.